if you had to ask an American who was going to be running for the presidency on the Republican side in 2028, you probably would hear people say J.D. Vance. You probably hear people say Marco Rubio. You might hear another name or two that wouldn't really make much of a mark. I wouldn't think about this guy. Now, it's Kay Smythe. She's not this guy, but she's talking about a guy who ran for president in 2016. He had a nickname from President Trump. We'll talk about that. And allegedly, he's thinking about a run again. Now, first of all, Kay, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, Joe. How are you doing? I'm so glad I'm not this guy.
Well, you're not this guy. That would be weird if you were this guy. So yesterday was your anniversary. Happy anniversary, you and John. Way to go.
Thank you.
You're not this guy, but I was surprised when you said this when we talked before the show today, because clearly you would say Vance. I say J.D. Vance. He's the front runner easily. He's doing a great job as the president or the vice president. He did a very good job as a senator. Marco Rubio, the black horse. Here's a guy that, as a senator, I thought, hey, kind of a cool senator, but as the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor, oh my God, I didn't know Marco had all that in him. Where did this guy? Tell us, first of all, who is this guy?
Oh, this is so sad, but this guy is Ted Cruz, and I hate to say this to you. You're based down in Texas.
Yeah, I like Ted.
He's a Texan man. But yeah, I've heard some rumblings, and then I saw some stuff on Twitter today, and I was like, I gotta talk to Joe about this. Because, like you said, I don't know this J.D. Vance guy. I know J.D. Vance. But he's my front runner. I think, honestly, like a Vance Rubio ticket, that like seals the deal for me.
Done.
Not that I can vote. And I won't be able to vote by 2028. Okay. So, but still, I think that's a natural ticket. I would love for Mark Lamb to get in there and replace Rubio in his job.
But he's running for House now. He'll be in government, which is good. You're talking about Sheriff Mark Lamb, right?
Yes, of course.
There's not another Mark Lamb, is there?
Not
he's the only one on the planet.
One.
So Rubio, dark horse, vice president potential, absolutely. Vance, he's ready to go. I say more like a Frenchman, Vance. But he's ready to go, I think. There are others out there like Mark Lamb, like some other up and comers in the Republican Party who I think will make some waves. But I didn't think Ted Cruz, who ran in 2016, his nickname was?
I don't actually know.
Lion Ted. That's what Trump called me. He called Marco Rubio Little Marco. He was Little Marco. Then it was Sleepy Jeb. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, he had a nickname for everybody. And now that like one little Marco's now his Secretary of State / NSA / he runs USAID or whatever. And then you got, Ted Cruz is one of the biggest MAGA supporters you're going to find. I just wonder, now again, I don't want you to give away any sources or methods, but where did this come from? Because I know Ted pretty well. I knew him before he was a senator. I knew him when he was running for senator. He and I have he's had me at his events when he's launching campaigns and so on. Where did this, again, I don't want the person's name, but where did this rumbling even come from? And I wonder why he would want to get in that fray when I think nationally, if you polled people, if they said, other than Donald Trump, who's a Republican you can name? I think they would name Vance. I think they would name Rubio.
A lot of people do know Ted Cruz, but I think he's kind of fallen out of the pop culture, like political sphere. You're absolutely on the money there. I was just thinking, you just reminded me that Jeb Bush exists. Can you imagine how
Sleepy
dead
Jeb.
He would all be?
Sleepy
Can
Jeb.
you imagine?
He was the guy who said something. He said, you can applaud now. And people were like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Please clap. Please clap.
And he had so much money backing him, too. It was amazing. Yeah. For my money, Ted Cruz is focusing on his podcast, The Verdict, or whatever the hell it is. And I thought that was going to be his future. And again, why jump into the fray now? If you were to ask people around this country, give me some names of Republicans other than Donald Trump, I think they would knock out Vance. And they probably would say Rubio or Rubio. They'd probably say that. But I don't think they're saying Ted Cruz. You think they might be because he's known.
No, I don't think that they're going to be sitting there saying Ted Cruz. I think that there are a handful of people, like if they're in the sort of political sphere, he might be in like the top 10 people who get named. I think, yeah, you're right. It goes Trump, Vance, Rubio, probably like Kash Patel would come next. Then
Bongino, Nancy Mace. I think there are other big names.
Yeah, there are a lot of other names that come before that. To be honest with you, there's probably more Republican MAGA and just general conservative pundits that come before Ted Cruz. But yeah, so I heard this rumbling from a source couple of years ago, to be honest with you.
Oh,
And
wow.
I trust this source. I've used this source a lot throughout my career in politics and political commentary. And so I laughed and was like, really, dude? Like, come on. Like, that's not, we don't know. Like, that's not a thing. But then I think that there's enough there. Listen, Joe, from like a younger person, I'm not a young person, but from like a younger sort
You're
of person
younger, sure.
perspective, younger, even though I would say everyone I know with their head screwed on correctly is very pro JD, pro Rubio.
Yeah.
They love what those guys have been doing. There's also a lot of issues, I think, with the Trump sphere. A little bit right now, the Epstein files is one of the biggest one. A lot of people are shallow enough to vote literally just based on the fact that those Epstein files haven't been released. They're never going to be released, guys. Let's just stop. They were never going to be released in the first place. Bless your heart if you thought that that was actually going to happen. It was never going to happen.
Okay.
I think that I think sadly as well, there's a lot of ego that goes into people running for president. Like it's
Yes.
kind of like ego money or an absolute fundamental belief in America. And you can have all three of those things, but there's a lot of people who run that only have one or two of those things. Now, I do believe that Ted Cruz is a pretty decent politician. Everyone
Yeah.
I know who's ever worked for him has loved him dearly. Like he's just an all-round good guy. Is he the right person to run America? I don't think so. I'm sorry, like I just don't. I'm not saying that out of some blind loyalty to JD Vance or Marco Rubio or like Trump or whoever. I'm just saying like from his political career, he's not the right guy. I think that he would very quickly become a globalist. And I think that in the same way that no one really wanted to see Jeb Bush up there, there's a lot of other Republicans that just do not have the clout to get up onto that main political stage. And I think, unfortunately, Ted Cruz is one of them. I think he's an excellent local politician. He has done great things for Texas. I think he's done great things for the country. He hasn't done enough to be president. But I don't know, considering how much people like him and like working for him, I don't know how many people in his sphere would have the guts to tell him not to do it. Because if he runs for president in 2028, he is going to undermine his relationship with the people who actually do go on to win, which, you know, again, for my money is JD Vance.
Marco Rubio.
You can't undo that kind of ego.
You know what we haven't mentioned?
Like Chris Christie. Like no one wants to look at that, but he still goes and runs for stuff.
He's a mess.
But like,
come on,
that's
he's
the
busy
kind of
eating.
ego I'm talking about. Yeah.
Come on, he's busy eating. So, but we haven't mentioned Ron DeSantis. I think that he's a star in this party too. So, I mean, I think that Vance is the shoe-in. I think Rubio or DeSantis could be on the same ticket. I think that would do very well. I didn't think Ted Cruz. Not that I think he's past his time. I just think right now it's way too many high-profile Republicans that people would think of before him. You can change that, obviously, but I found it interesting that you brought that up. It's K Smythe Hill. Go and follow her, ksmythehill.com. Follow her on all the social media. See her on Newsmax as well. You'll see her here at least once a week on my show. Let's talk about tech jobs and the fact that you think they could be dwindling, but there might be light at the end of the tunnel. I'm kind of confused. People are losing high-paid tech jobs, but they are able to get new ones or not able to get new ones. Why are they losing high-tech jobs? You would think tech is the future.
Yeah, tech is the future, but tech's going to be run by tech. It's not going to be run by people. And this is what I said, I think it was like 8 years ago now. Oh my gosh, that makes me feel old. Like 7, 8 years ago, I was working for a tech company that was doing, this is going to make you laugh, DEI training.
Stop it.
Yep, that's what I did. My first day in office, Joe, I told the CEO of the company that he needed to change every single thing that he was doing with the platform because it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to sell. It was a stupid idea. It was going to cost a lot of money and it was going to lose the whole lot. And I wasn't wrong. Anyway, back when I was in tech, I remember looking at the state of the economy and saying, wow, all it's going to take is one more 2008, which we've been gearing up for since the last 2008. All it's going to take is one financial crisis, and we're going to see a huge problem here within the tech world because people don't understand. In major cities, the people who uphold pretty much the rest of the economy are those middle income tech people who are making over six figures who aren't necessarily making, millions, but they're making anywhere from, 150 to maybe 750,000 a year, which seems like an insane amount of money for a tech job because it can
Yes.
literally be done by robots now. And it's a robot that already lives inside of your computer. And so what we're already seeing is a lot of these people losing their jobs in the same way that we saw kind of graphic designers disappear as soon as everyone realized you could just do everything on like Canva or like Paint Shop Pro. So we're seeing a lot of people lose these jobs and they're disappearing full stop. Those jobs aren't coming back. And what happens when lots of people in this field disappear is we get this huge vacuum where these people who were going out to dinner pretty much every night a week, their companies throw these huge parties that, support like, local, other local businesses then,
Right.
if you will. These are women who are spending, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars getting their hair and nails done every month. And that is literally how much it costs. Like, I lived this, I worked this, I know it. These people, as soon as they sort of like disappear from the job market, their job's gone, it doesn't come back. A lot of over leverage just from keeping up with the Joneses, or because they were idiots and went and bought houses during the COVID housing bubble where they've got these huge mortgages that now they can't get out of or refinance on because properties just aren't going up in value and they've been pretty stagnant for a while now. No one's talking about this. And so we've got this one demographic of people who are centrally located. But again, we've also got a lot of people who do these jobs remotely. But for the most part, they're centrally located in major cities. And we're going to start to feel that financial vacuum as their jobs keep getting replaced by AI. And another prime example of this, Joe, I'm not going to like go into it in too much detail, but my husband just built two software companies that sort of, they fill a gap in the recruiting industry. He has no coding or engineering experience. He knows the terminology because he worked in recruiting for 10 years. So he understood the sort of like underlying theory and principle around tech, I guess, and the sort of intricate workings of a coder, of designers, of engineers. He went out and used AI to build both of his companies and did the whole thing in 6 weeks. Yeah. It cost us like $1,000 for him to make them, if that. And he probably could have done it for free. But I was like, no, invest in yourself. If this is all it's going to cost, who cares? Go do it. Like, we may never get this opportunity again. And so this isn't a case of like, oh, these guys are getting like booted from companies. Like, yes, Amazon does do massive layoffs every year. I've been writing about them for years. Like 30,000 people being laid off is actually kind of a drop in the bucket for a company that large.
Right.
But when you start seeing tech people who are in that very much middle and upper middle income bracket lose their jobs, not be able to find new ones, and then be stuck in financial situations that not only supported themselves in their over-leveraged individual lives, but supported their local communities, both directly and indirectly, that's when we start seeing a snowball effect from the financial crisis that technically started during COVID, but still no one wants to admit openly is happening. And this isn't the kind of thing that like, Trump can swoop in and fix overnight. But I'm really scared about what's going to happen is if this snowball keeps rolling and rolls into the midterms, because the propaganda that can be pushed over this, even though this is clearly a Biden era issue, even though this is clearly an issue of like social revolution, it's going to get blamed on Trump. And it's not his fault. And at the same time, we're going to see a lot of people have to basically kind of suck it up and realize that they spent a lot of money going to like big fancy schools to get their computer science degrees, and it all be literally for nothing in 10 years or less than 10 years after they graduated.
How does Trump get ahead of it? I mean, everything you just said makes sense. Economically speaking, it's going to really hurt. It was even the Obama era that pushed everybody should go to college. Everybody should get this degree in this specialty or whatever. And now those will be not worth, enough to wipe your rear end with. So what do you do then? Do you start pushing people to vocational schools, start getting a trade? Because those aren't going to go away. AI is not going to come in and fix your air conditioner. Somebody's got to actually go and do that. So what is the best advice from all that you've read on this and all you've aggregated on this to tell young people who are looking to get out of college and find a job, or not even go to college and find a job?
Yeah, don't go to college. It's a waste of time and money. Like, just do not do it unless you know exactly what you want to do and
Right.
that's what your mommy and daddy do and they've guaranteed you a job. Like, do not go to college. Vocational school, you absolutely nailed it. Go and be an apprentice. Go out, get ahead, get a trade. If you've got any money saved up, go buy land, start farming that land, start living well under your means because this problem is going to get bigger. I think Trump needs to overhaul all of education, like from start to absolute finish. Like we have such, I mean, that's like a 2 hour show right there, Joe. I don't even want to get into how miserable that situation is.
Right.
But I think that definitely solves the upcoming generation's problem, like pushing those vocational skills. There are going to be sort of knock on issues of, you know, if everyone goes to HVAC school, the cost of the HVAC industry, like people are going to make less money because there's going to be greater competition, which is great for the consumer, not so great for the guys trying to, you know, support their families
Right.
off that money. And I know people who support like families of 4 off one HVAC technician's income, which I think is really cool. And it's not necessarily a problem if that goes away, but it's
pun intended.
Not the American dream.
Pun intended. Very
but
cool.
that also
cool.
doesn't.
Get it? Cool. You said it. I thought you were being witty. I don't know.
Definitely not intended, but I like that I did that. By accident.
Pregnancy brain didn't let you know what the pun was.
Dude, pregnancy brain doesn't let me do anything these days. But it doesn't solve the problem that, you know, a lot of these tech people are going to face. They've put themselves in these very precarious situations. I think we're going to see a hollowing out of the cities. Because, you know, people don't realize that even places like LA, like, yeah, you've got all the movie stars and they make lots of money, but there's not really that many of them in the grand scheme of things. Most of the people I know in LA who make serious bank, all of them work in tech. It's a huge tech hub. And I'm sorry, but like most of their jobs are going to go away because they can be done by, instead of, you know, 1,000 people running a tech company, it can be done by like 5 people. And that's literally like 1,000 to 5 people. That's not me being hyperbolic. That's what it's going to look like.
No, I think it's a fair warning. Those who are thinking about getting into tech, those who are in tech, keep in mind that the development of new technology is going crazy. And yeah, from 1,000 to 5 is probably not an exaggeration. Kay, you're the best.
Thanks, Joe.
Kay Smythe Hill, go follow her everywhere, kaysmythehill.com. See her on Newsmax, and we're back after this.